Drake just shook the music world, and insiders say the fallout is already massive. During a recent live show, sources reveal that he didn't just perform. He addressed Kendrick Lamar's ongoing lawsuit in front of thousands of fans, sending shockwaves through the industry. But that wasn't all. Sources claim Drake also exposed details about what some are calling the worst record deal ever, raising questions about contracts, money, and fairness in the music business. Industry insiders suggest that this revelation could have major ripple effects, affecting not just Drake and Kendrick but artists across the board who have been negotiating deals behind the scenes. Fans are left asking, what does this mean for Kendrick, for Drake, and for the future of major record deals in hip-hop? According to insiders, Drake's comments were more than just a performance. They were strategic, revealing, and highly calculated. Reports suggest that while the crowd erupted in excitement, executives and legal teams in the industry were taking notes, understanding that these statements could impact ongoing lawsuits, negotiations, and artist leverage. Sources say Drake's approach reflects a growing trend among top artists to control their narrative publicly, using live events, social media, and interviews to influence not only fans but the business side of music. Fans and analysts alike are dissecting every word, wondering if this is just another chapter in a long-standing rivalry or if Drake is signaling a larger shift in how artists handle legal disputes and contracts. Industry insiders reportedly see this as a moment of reckoning, where transparency, exposure, and strategic storytelling intersect, and the implications could be huge for the way record deals are structured in the future. The story isn't just about drama. It's about power, contracts, and the future of hip-hop. In the next few minutes, we'll break down exactly what Drake said, reveal the shocking details of the record deal he exposed, and explain why this could change everything for Kendrick Lamar, Drake himself, and the industry as a whole. Fans and insiders are watching closely, and one thing is clear. This is a moment nobody in music will forget. The music world was left reeling after Drake's recent show, and insiders say the moment he addressed Kendrick Lamar's lawsuit was unlike anything fans have ever seen. Sources claim that as soon as Drake stepped on stage, he didn't just perform. He strategically turned the spotlight toward the ongoing legal battle, referencing the lawsuit in a way that had the audience erupting. But what really sent shockwave through the industry wasn't just the mention of Kendrick. It was the revelation about what insiders are calling the worst record deal ever. According to sources close to Drake, he exposed key details about the contract, including unfair clauses, limited creative control, and financial arrangements that could have long-term implications for any artist unlucky enough to be bound by it. Analysts suggest that by doing this publicly, Drake not only shifted attention toward Kendrick's situation, but also sparked a conversation about transparency, fairness, and power dynamics in the music industry. Industry insiders say the timing was no accident. Reports indicate that Drake carefully planned his comments, understanding the ripple effect they would have both on the public and behind the scenes. Music executives, label representatives, and legal teams reportedly scrambled to process the implications of the revelation, with many acknowledging that Drake's disclosure could embolden other artists to demand better contract terms or challenge existing deals. Some insiders claim that the revelation highlights a growing trend among top-tier artists using their platform to influence not just fans, but the business side of music, turning public appearances into strategic opportunities for transparency and leverage. Fans took to social media immediately, dissecting every word, clip, and nuance of Drake's statements. According to sources, the response was overwhelming, with thousands of posts debating the fairness of record deals, Kendrick Lamar's position in the lawsuit, and Drake's motivations for going public. Analysts note that this level of engagement represents both risk and reward. While public attention can amplify influence and drive conversation, it also exposes artists to scrutiny, criticism, and potential legal pushback. Drake's move reportedly demonstrates a calculated risk, balancing public perception, fan loyalty, and industry influence in a single, dramatic moment. Reports indicate that insiders close to Kendrick Lamar were caught off guard by Drake's comments. Sources suggest that management and legal teams immediately convened to assess the potential impact on the lawsuit, understanding that public disclosures, even in a live performance, could influence both legal strategy and negotiation power. Some insiders speculate that Drake's exposure of the record deal details may pressure other parties to reconsider their approach, potentially shifting leverage toward artists in ongoing disputes. Others suggest it could set a precedent, encouraging transparency and accountability within contracts and fundamentally altering the dynamic between artists and labels. The revelation also ignited debates across music forums, industry panels, and fan communities. Sources say discussions centered on the broader implications for hip-hop and mainstream music, questioning how many other artists may be bound by similarly restrictive contracts. Analysts reportedly emphasize that this is not just about one lawsuit, it's about systemic issues within the industry, including fairness, creative control, and financial equity. Drake's bold move has, according to insiders, forced executives to reconsider how contracts are structured and signals to other artists that public accountability is a powerful tool in challenging unfair agreements. By the end of the show, the consensus among insiders and fans alike was clear. Drake had shifted the narrative, transforming a live performance into a defining moment in the industry. Sources emphasize that his disclosure has far-reaching consequences, from influencing Kendrick Lamar's legal strategy to sparking debates about fairness in record deals across the board. Analysts note that this is a turning point, where visibility, leverage, and transparency intersect, potentially redefining how artists approach contracts and negotiations in the future. While fans celebrated the drama, industry insiders remained focused on the strategic implications, understanding that the ripple effects could shape hip-hop business practices for years to come. The aftermath of Drake's revelation sent shockwaves through both the fan base and the music industry. Sources indicate that executives were scrambling behind the scenes, trying to assess the impact of the worst record deal ever disclosure. Industry insiders report that legal teams, label executives, and management were all reviewing contracts and communication protocols, fearing that the exposure could embolden other artists to speak out or renegotiate their deals. Some executives reportedly described the situation as unprecedented, noting that while artists have occasionally voiced frustration publicly, Drake's approach was bold, strategic, and meticulously timed. Analysts suggest that this public confrontation could shift power dynamics across the entire industry, creating pressure on labels to offer more equitable deals or face increasing public scrutiny. According to sources, the revelation also intensified discussions within Kendrick Lamar's camp. Reports indicate that his management and legal advisors were carefully analyzing how Drake's statement could influence ongoing litigation. Some insiders claim that while Drake's comments were framed as a public performance, they had real-world consequences, potentially affecting bargaining power, public perception, and even court strategy. Fans and critics alike dissected every nuance, questioning whether this was a coordinated tactic or a spontaneous decision. But insiders suggest that the move was calculated, aimed at both protecting Drake's brand and shifting the narrative in Kendrick's lawsuit. The legal and PR ramifications reportedly became a high-priority concern for both camps, with each word now carrying the potential for ripple effects. Social media erupted almost immediately. Clips of Drake addressing the lawsuit and highlighting the record deal went viral, sparking debates across platforms. Fans analyzed every lyric, gesture, and statement, trying to understand what was factual and what might have been exaggeration or strategic posturing. Sources say that the public reaction was polarized. Some celebrated the transparency and praised Drake for calling attention to unfair industry practices, while others questioned the ethics of exposing confidential contract details in a live performance. Analysts report that this level of scrutiny has become an integral part of modern hip-hop, where public perception, fan engagement, and social media virality directly influence both reputation and business decisions. Insiders suggest that the exposure of the record deal had ripple effects beyond just Drake and Kendrick. Music industry veterans reportedly observed that younger or less established artists could leverage this moment to challenge restrictive contracts or demand better terms, citing Drake's public stance as precedent. Reports indicate that this revelation may force labels to reconsider how they structure deals, ensuring that artists maintain both creative control and fair compensation. Analysts suggest that Drake's move could be the beginning of a larger trend toward transparency in the industry, reshaping how contracts are negotiated, disclosed, and enforced in the future. Finally, sources indicate that this revelation has reignited conversations about artist empowerment and accountability in hip-hop. While the immediate drama focuses on Drake and Kendrick, insiders highlight the broader implications: how artists navigate legal challenges, public perception, and business relationships. Industry observers emphasize that this is a moment of reckoning, where strategic disclosures, social media influence, and public attention converge, forcing both artists and executives to reconsider how power is distributed in the music business. Fans remain captivated, legal teams remain vigilant, and the industry is watching closely, knowing that the fallout from this event could reshape the landscape for years to come. The industry fallout from Drake's public revelation reportedly began to take on a life of its own. Sources close to both Drake and Kendrick Lamar suggest that executives, managers, and legal teams were scrambling to assess the full impact of the disclosure, while fans were focused on the drama and spectacle of the live performance. Insiders warn that the implications extend far beyond the stage. According to sources, the disclosure of the worst record deal ever prompted urgent discussions among label executives about contract renegotiation, artist leverage, and public relations strategy. Some industry insiders reportedly described the event as a wake-up call, emphasizing that transparency, fan attention, and social media influence now have the power to shape negotiations in real time. The combination of visibility and leverage created a high-stakes environment that few labels had anticipated. Reports indicate that the timing of Drake's comments was no coincidence. Sources suggest that every word was strategically calculated to maximize impact on public perception and industry leverage. Analysts note that by linking Kendrick Lamar's lawsuit to broader issues of unfair contracts, Drake not only drew attention to the legal battle, but also highlighted systemic problems within the music industry. According to insiders, executives feared that if other high-profile artists followed Drake's lead, the traditional balance of power in label negotiations could shift dramatically. Some suggest this moment may mark a turning point, where public scrutiny and social media influence force executives to re-evaluate contract terms and artist relationships on a much larger scale. Insiders claim that Kendrick Lamar's camp was reportedly taken aback by the move. Sources suggest that management and legal teams had been preparing for litigation in private, but Drake's public comments shifted the dynamics, forcing them to consider new strategies for media management, negotiation leverage, and legal positioning. Analysts highlight that this demonstrates a growing trend in hip-hop, where artists actively shape narratives in real time, using live performances, social media, and fan engagement to influence legal and business outcomes. According to insiders, these actions blur the lines between entertainment and strategy, raising questions about how far artists can go when combining public exposure with business tactics. Social media amplified every moment, and sources say the reaction was immediate and intense. Clips of Drake referencing the lawsuit and exposing contract details went viral, with fans dissecting the statements, debating the fairness of deals, and speculating on the repercussions for Kendrick Lamar. Industry insiders report that the viral spread forced executives to respond, as public perception now directly affected negotiation dynamics and artist leverage. Analysts highlight that in today's music business, fan engagement and visibility can influence real-world contracts, illustrating the growing power of social platforms in shaping both perception and policy. The intensity of the online conversation reportedly made it impossible for labels to ignore, further increasing pressure to address systemic issues. According to sources, the public exposure also affected professional relationships behind the scenes. Collaborators, promoters, and other artists reportedly took note, evaluating how this moment could set precedent for contract negotiations and creative control. Some insiders claim that younger artists in particular were emboldened to speak out about their own agreements, inspired by Drake's transparency and the industry-wide attention it garnered. Analysts suggest that this could catalyze a broader movement within hip-hop, where artists increasingly demand fair treatment, transparency, and creative freedom, using both public platforms and legal strategies to assert influence. The convergence of public exposure, legal strategy, and industry dynamics illustrates that Drake's performance was far more than entertainment. It was a calculated move with far-reaching implications for the future of the music business. The fallout from Drake's revelation reportedly intensified in the days following the show. Sources indicate that executives and label representatives scrambled to assess the damage and mitigate potential long-term consequences. According to insiders, the exposure of the worst record deal ever had sparked urgent internal discussions across multiple major labels, with concerns that other artists could now demand renegotiation or challenge existing contracts. Analysts suggest that this moment marked a shift in the balance of power, with public perception, social media influence, and fan engagement emerging as critical tools for artists to assert leverage. The industry, sources say, had never seen a live performance carry such immediate and tangible business implications. Reports indicate that Kendrick Lamar's camp faced new challenges as well. Sources claim that legal advisors and management were forced to reconsider strategy in light of Drake's public statements. The disclosure, insiders say, highlighted vulnerabilities within existing contracts, prompting careful evaluation of ongoing litigation, negotiation leverage, and public relations management. Analysts suggest that Drake's calculated move not only shifted attention toward the lawsuit, but also applied pressure on executives to address systemic issues of fairness, compensation, and creative control. The ripple effects reportedly forced labels and legal teams to adapt quickly, understanding that silence or delay could further empower public perception and artist leverage. Social media continued to amplify the drama. Fans dissected every clip, lyric, and statement, debating not only the legality of the record deal, but also the ethics of exposing private agreements on stage. According to sources, online discourse became a tool for shaping public opinion, creating both opportunities and risks. While some applauded Drake for transparency and advocacy, others criticized him for airing what had traditionally been confidential business matters. Analysts note that this viral engagement has effectively transformed negotiations into a public spectacle, illustrating the growing power of platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to influence both perception and real-world outcomes. The conversation went far beyond fandom, touching on business strategy, legal risk, and industry accountability. Insiders say the revelation also sparked internal debates within the music industry about precedent and risk management. Executives reportedly discussed the potential for widespread scrutiny and the implications of artist empowerment. Some feared that Drake's move could embolden other artists to publicly challenge contract terms or management decisions, leading to increased tension between creative talent and corporate leadership. Sources claim that younger artists, in particular, were closely watching the situation, recognizing that transparency, social media influence, and public pressure can be powerful tools for negotiating fairer deals. Analysts suggest that this moment represents a turning point in hip-hop, where artistic influence increasingly intersects with business strategy and legal accountability. Reports indicate that the convergence of public exposure, legal strategy, and fan engagement has fundamentally altered the conversation around contracts in hip-hop. According to insiders, Drake's performance demonstrated that a live show is no longer just entertainment. It can be a platform for advocacy, negotiation, and exposure of systemic issues. Fans, media, and industry professionals alike are reportedly paying closer attention to how contracts are structured, what rights artists have, and how public perception can influence outcomes. Analysts suggest that this could be the beginning of a new era, where transparency and visibility are as important as talent and creative output, forever changing how the industry operates and how artists assert power. By the end of this phase, it became clear that Drake had done more than perform. He had shifted the narrative. Sources emphasize that the consequences of his revelation would continue to resonate, affecting not only Kendrick Lamar's lawsuit but also the broader industry landscape. Executives, legal teams, and artists were reportedly reassessing strategy, understanding that public exposure, fan engagement, and viral social media moments could now alter negotiation dynamics in ways that were previously unimaginable. The story had evolved beyond a single lawsuit into a reflection of power, transparency, and influence in modern music. As the story unfolded, Insiders say that the repercussions of Drake's revelation continued to escalate. Sources report that major labels were actively reviewing contracts and reassessing negotiation strategies, fearing that the public exposure of what he called the worst record deal ever could set a precedent. Analysts note that Drake's move demonstrated the growing influence of artist transparency, social media engagement, and public perception in shaping the business of music. Executives reportedly scrambled to manage potential fallout, balancing the need to maintain control with the understanding that ignoring public scrutiny could weaken leverage and credibility. According to insiders, the industry had rarely seen a single live performance carry such immediate and tangible consequences, effectively transforming a concert into a high-stakes business intervention. Reports suggest that Kendrick Lamar's camp was forced to respond strategically. Legal advisors and management were reportedly evaluating how Drake's public disclosure could impact the ongoing lawsuit, contractual negotiations, and broader public perception. Sources say that the statements created both opportunities and challenges, offering leverage in certain areas while raising questions about confidentiality and precedent. Analysts suggest that this dynamic illustrates a new reality in hip-hop, where the lines between entertainment, legal strategy, and business negotiation are increasingly blurred. According to insiders, the exposure of restrictive clauses, financial terms, and creative limitations sparked an industry-wide conversation about fairness and accountability, potentially affecting not just Drake and Kendrick but countless other artists bound by similar agreements. Social media continued to amplify the situation. Clips of Drake addressing the lawsuit and exposing contract details went viral almost instantly, with fans dissecting every word and speculating on the consequences. Sources report that this attention created pressure on both artists, their management teams, and label executives, as public perception now carried tangible weight in ongoing negotiations. Analysts highlight that the situation demonstrates the power of visibility and engagement. Fan response and viral dissemination can influence decisions, create leverage, and even shift industry standards. Insider accounts suggest that this level of public scrutiny was unprecedented, forcing traditional label strategies to adapt to a new era of artist empowerment and transparency. Insiders claim that the broader music industry is watching closely. Executives reportedly debated the potential for a domino effect as younger and mid-tier artists take cues from Drake's bold approach. Sources indicate that many artists may now feel empowered to challenge unfair contracts, demand creative freedom, or seek transparency, leveraging both public attention and social media influence. Analysts suggest that this moment represents a turning point, highlighting the intersection of fame, business strategy, legal oversight, and public perception. Drake's decision to publicly reveal contract details is reportedly being seen as a statement on the importance of accountability, fairness, and strategic visibility in the modern music landscape. By the conclusion of this unfolding drama, sources say it became clear that Drake had done more than make a performance memorable. He had catalyzed an industry-wide conversation. Analysts suggest that his revelation could have lasting consequences, influencing legal negotiations, artist-label dynamics, and public expectations for transparency in contracts. Fans remain captivated, while executives, legal teams, and artists continue to navigate the fallout, understanding that the event sparked by a single live show may reshape industry practices for years to come. Sources emphasize that the combination of strategic disclosure, viral impact, and industry pressure illustrates a new era in music, where influence extends far beyond the stage and into the heart of business, legal strategy, and artistic autonomy.